What's going on, Nerd Squad? We are back today with a part 2. You guys couldn't get enough of pregnant superheroes, and luckily for you, there's more than 10. There's actually quite a few. It's pretty awesome. I'm your host for today, Taylor McWatters. Let's just dive in, guys. Here are the top 10 Marvel superheroes who got pregnant, part 2. Let's do it. Kicking off the list at number 10. We have Crystal. Introduced in Fantastic Four issue 45, Crystal, the sister of Medusa, has also had quite the journey when it comes to the game of love. I'll talk about Medusa a little bit later on in this list. So in Fantastic Four issue 45, Johnny Storm and Crystal meet and they hit it off. Naturally being Johnny saw her and then immediately thought that she was something out of a fairy tale. How cute. Oh, we love to hear about it. So sweet. And then a few pages later, he runs into her again, but this time they show each other their powers, and that makes them instantly bond. Now at this time, the Fantastic Four needed a replacement temporarily while Sue was recovering from having her first child, which if you didn't see part 1 of this list, I explained more of that in part 1, so go check out that after you're done. So this Inhuman Crystal was looking to fill that spot. Now Johnny and her were close and they dated after this, and Crystal was front cover by the time Fantastic Four issue 81 rolled around. And then in Avengers 104, after a battle with a Sentinel, Quicksilver is hurt. So Crystal brought him back to Adeland to heal him, and while they were there, the two of them ended up getting pretty close, maybe a little bit too close because she fell in love with Pietro at this moment. So Crystal eventually ended up giving birth to her daughter Luna, who did not have any powers. Imagine that, eh? Sorry Johnny, apparently you're not hot enough this time. And before we go on with this list, guys, if you could go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, smack that like button, that would be great. It helps our studio out quite a bit. You guys are the best. Now back to some more pregnant superheroes. Number 9, Patton Parnell. Featuring Uncle Ted, the girl next door, and spiders. Okay, this sounds like one wild comic right off the bat. We have the Edge of Spider-Verse issue 4. We meet Patton Parnell, a disturbed young man who lived with his Uncle Ted. Now his Uncle Ted was not a pleasant guy to live with at all. One day Patton went on a field trip to Alcorp Industries where he talked to his next door neighbor, Sarah Jane. Now Sarah asked him if he was down to help her expose the company's illegal experiments, and he was like, yeah, hell yeah, that's what we're here for. Let's do it. Let's expose some shady shit. So they went to free the animal test subjects, and then that's when the spiders part comes into play. Ooh, I'm getting gross thinking about it. So this giant red spider bit Patton, and then the next day he woke up with the munchies. The dude straight up ate a mouse, and then he ate a cat. And then when Uncle Ted came around, Patton had turned into a literal Spider-Man. A monster version of Spider-Man. I mean, once Sarah came around, Patton bit her in the neck, and then he transformed into the Spider Monster. But wait, it gets worse. Haha, nice. This spider that bit Patton laid eggs inside of him during the bite. So he learned he could do the same, and then he tested it out on his uncle and a young boy in the neighborhood, and then finally Sarah. So Sarah left after she got bit, obviously in a panic, but the next morning she was a mother to hundreds of baby spiders that were coming out of her neck. Number 8, Eve Bakian. Making her first debut in Guardians of the Galaxy issue 147, Eve Bakian was a member of the Nova Corps whose expeditionary force was sent to find potential sites for new outposts. And she did this all while being pregnant. See, usually we meet a character and then they get pregnant and then they have to pull back on the superhero game, at least in some way, shape, or form. But with Eve, we see her fly into the pages and immediately she starts kicking ass. It throws Star-Lord off too. He's like, stand down, that's Richard Rider and I'm pregnant. No, you're pregnant. You're pregnant. What? What's going on? A pregnant lady comes in and squashes the beef. That's superhero stuff. That's what we're talking about. Number 7, the Wasp. In Uncanny Avengers issue 13, Janet Van Dyne is stranded on Planet X with other X-Men members. She was stuck there for years, and when you spend that much time with a hunk like Alex Summers, I mean, feelings are bound to grow, right? Wasp, being the last human alive, had a child named Katie with Alex. See, Katie was around in comics, but not for long. This child did not survive due to the erasure of Planet X. Only her memory made the cut. Now, some of these X-Men missions, especially the ones that involve time travel like this, are just absolutely heartbreaking. Just like that, you'll never see her again. Number 6, Jennifer Walters, Old Man Logan. Guys, sometimes superheroes having kids can be just a nightmare situation. Like in the Old Man Logan storyline, for example, we get to see another version of Jennifer Walters. Now, Jennifer is Bruce Banner's cousin. Yes, I said cousin. Yes, this video is about pregnancies, and yes, I'm saying what you think I'm saying. The world is much different in this storyline. It's cruel, dark, dusty, and dirty. So Banner and Walters, due to their similarly enhanced bodies, the only way they can reproduce is with each other. Yoink, Scoobs, that is one we don't want to think of too much. But because Bruce and Jen were first cousins, these kids turned into little nightmares referred to as Hulk Gang. Now the Hulk Gang is just, what a load of fun. See, what they would do is they would go around town and fight people who weren't paying their rent. The coolest landlords ever. Now, if this was a Disney Plus show, I'd watch 3 seasons of this in one sitting. Just mini Hulks demanding rent money, how epic would that be? Number 5, Venom. Venom is a fun character. I'm actually looking forward to the Venom sequel with Woody Harrelson. He's great, he should kill it. It's gonna be a decent time. Now in the comics, Eddie and Venom go through quite a bit together, especially in Venom issue 164. So Eddie wakes up after a nightmare, but it's so vivid that he believes it was Venom's nightmare, not even his. It's almost like he was watching it like a movie. He even throws up right after he wakes up, which he usually doesn't do. Interesting. They brush it off and they get some air, but then later on in the comic, they're battling Shocker and Venom just leaves, like mid-fight. He's like, well, got a blast, see ya. And he says before he leaves though, he must go, he must keep safe. What is he referring to? Interesting. So they run into Claire Dixon, where she captures Eddie and explains that the symbiote is pregnant. And she also mentioned that the FBI had recruited Matt Gargan as the new host. Surprise, even more demon spawn is on the way. Lovely, we look forward to it. Number 4, Mystique. This next one's pretty wild. Okay, so this offspring almost became president. Yeah, you heard me, it was a whole thing. So Mystique and Sabretooth, 2 iconic X-Men characters, had a son named Graydon Creed. Sounds evil right off the bat, if you ask me. So Mystique at this point was posing as a spy, and then she seduced Victor while he was in Germany on a mission. Now, when Mystique gave birth to Graydon Creed, he didn't have superpowers. He didn't fight people for rent money. Instead, he was given up for adoption, where Mystique would keep an eye on him. It wasn't until he found out who his true parents were and the fact that he'd been abandoned until he started to become a villain and despise the mutant community. He grew up to form a group called the Friends of Humanity, which sounds friendly, but in fact, it was for opposing mutant civil rights. Now opposing them by causing violent attacks, of course, because how else would you do it in comic books? He ended up running for president in X Factor, and in issue 130, we see the end of Graydon Creed, taken out by a future version of Mystique because Graydon was responsible for the death of Trevor Chase, the grandson of her lover Destiny in the future. So yeah, some of these pregnancies are a little more stressful than others, I'd say. Number 3, Madelyne Pryor. She made her first debut in Uncanny X-Men issue 168, and since her first arrival to comics, she bared a striking resemblance to Jean Grey, who had passed on at this time in the comics. Everybody thought that she was Jean reborn, and to make things more fishy, Madelyne's mind was closed off to Professor X's, and she was the only survivor of a plane crash that just happened to go down when the Dark Phoenix disappeared on the moon. So what ended up happening was that she was a clone of Jean Grey created by Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister's ultimate plan was for Madelyne and Scott Summers to have a child, and then he could use said child to defeat Apocalypse. Nice, we love when babies are used for master plans. Awesome. Number 2, Medusa. She made her first appearance in the Fantastic Four issue 36. Medusa is the firstborn to Inhumans Quaylen and Amber. She's part of the Adelan's royal family, and she got her powers when she was younger, when her parents exposed her to the Terrigen Mist. This process changed her hair up drastically. I mean, her hair turned into these appendages that she got so good at moving her hair around that she could use it to communicate to Black Bolt via sign language. What a sight that would be. Is it a windy day? Nah, Medusa's just filling us in on some hot gossip. She got a little older and a little wiser, and she was the face of the Inhumans and Black Bolt's interpreter. When Adelan was moved to the blue area of the moon, she got married to said Black Bolt. And you already know what this list is, so yes, pregnancy soon followed a few months later. But it wasn't an easy breezy time at all. See, Adelan's genetic council argued that the mating was unfit because Black Bolt's brother, Maximus, was kind of a dick. Yeah, he was not a pleasant guy to be around at all. So Medusa left, Medusa said deuces, and she hid and had her child on Earth in a desert. Motherhood in the superhero life is the opposite of easy, it seems. Wow. And finally, number 1. Thundra. She made her first appearance in Fantastic Four issue 129. Beginning with Hulk Raging Thunder issue 1, we find Lyra Walters, or sometimes referred to as Savage She-Hulk, and she's the daughter of Thundra and our Earth's Hulk. Yeah, so she's from Earth 8009 in the 23rd century, and at that time the Earth was split into different factions. So there was the guys faction, who were like these warriors, you know, they look up to past warriors. Then the women came together under the United Sisterhood Republic. They were outmanned, literally. So Thundra got sent to Earth 616, our Earth, where she met our Hulk, and then had a baby, Lyra. Now that baby is quite interesting as well, because the thing about Lyra is she actually gets stronger when she's calm, and she's able to tap into gamma sight, which means she can see the flow of gamma radiation. So she becomes a smarter, smoother fighter in this state. If she becomes angry, however, she will actually become weaker. So what do you know? It's flipped. Got a little flippy flip. Well guys, there you have it. More superheroes who got pregnant. Look, drop us a comment down below. Leave us your thoughts, concerns, ideas, beliefs, whatever you want, because we love reading your comments. I've been your host, Taylor McWatters. Thanks so much for tuning in to Top 10 Nerd, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.